historic consultation, an unprecedented event in the history of the Church.
We then asked
Cardinal Jean-Claude Hollerich found strong words presenting the first results from the global synodal process. The Archbishop of Luxembourg and head of the European Bishops' Conference is also the related general of the Global Synod. He's responsible for collecting the various national contributions in order to combine them to a continental working document. Ultimately, he will define and present the results of the Synod to the Pope. For the continental phase, in which we are in right now, the feedback of the faithful is analyzed and grouped in various topics for the bishops to discuss when they meet next year in Rome. Pope Francis is the driving force behind this process. In his address for the opening of the Synod last October, the Pontiff urged the faithful to participate in this process and insisted that the Church needs to listen. He said that there was no need for creating another church, but a different church. To him, this different church does not stand aloof from life, but bandages wounds and heals broken hearts. Cardinal Mario Grech, the Secretary General of the Synod, confirmed this message, saying,
I would like that the Synod will be hijacked by one, by the Holy Spirit.
This statement came as a response to questions from journalists if there wasn't a certain danger that the Synod would be used to pressure through ideologically motivated changes in the Church. The National Catholic Register's European correspondent, Solène Tadier, reported that open letters gathering hundreds of signatures of young people were released in Belgium, Ireland, and Portugal. The national synthesis of these three countries stood out. They are calling for the ordination of women to the priesthood, optional celibacy, or a change of doctrine regarding homosexual and transgender people.
After our diocesan reports, we had this national level of like the Conference of Bishops of Portugal had also reports that they did themselves. And many people were not very happy about that reports. For some language it used that didn't feel very, let's say, ecclesial.
People mostly were happy. The time between the documents were published in Rome and that we had to start the process was very short, because we have not ever had a synod here and we had no experience, so we would have needed, I think, 6 months or more to prepare it.
Cardinals Grech and Hollerich made clear during the presentation of the first consulting phase that there is no predefined outcome of the Synod and no agenda other than listening to the faithful. Cardinal Hollerich himself used the opportunity to clarify his stance on one of the controversial issues brought forth by the German synodal path. He said that he would indeed support the Church's current stance towards homosexuality, distancing himself from his earlier statement this year when he had indicated that the Church's teaching on this issue is false. This raised concerns about a certain bias that the Cardinal could bring to the synodal process. The German synodal path has been progressing longer than the Global Synod. It is a separate process started by Church leaders and lay employees of the Church in Germany. They are calling for radical changes, including hot-button issues on the Church's view on sexuality, same-sex marriage, ordination of women to the priesthood, and its teaching on contraceptives. Many German Catholics are perplexed at the German synodal path, as they say it does not represent them at all. The same critique has now been voiced against the Synod of Synodality in Germany. Birgit Keller, from a Catholic initiative of laypersons called Neuer Anfang, which stands for New Beginning, shares her perception.
The synodal process does not represent the German faithful at all. Personally, I have never been invited in my parish or anywhere to participate. All my friends across Germany had similar experiences. We ask ourselves who they actually interviewed or let participate in this global synodal process. We are all concerned that the documents, the results from the German synodal path, will inform the global process. This is not what German faithful think. I thought that the intention of the Pope was to listen to the faithful. I do not have the feeling this has happened.
So far, 112 reports from episcopal conferences have been received and reviewed. An expert group of more than 50 cardinals, religious and lay people convened outside of Rome to prepare the working paper for the next period of the Synod, the continental phase. The paper will be published in the coming weeks and provide the topics to be further discussed. Cardinal Greg showed a lot of enthusiasm after the meeting. Speaking about the feedback from the faithful across the world, he felt optimistic that the Church offers itself as a home for all, because the experience of synodality that we're all living leads us to widen the space of the tent, to truly welcome everyone. In Rome, Andreas Thonhauser, EWTN News In Depth.